Hey guys, welcome back to Michelle's STEM Journey. I am Michelle and this is the first video of the series called Swift and XCode. In this series, you will find a list of videos that give you an introduction to the Swift programming language as well as some features of Xcode. In today's video, I will give an introduction to mobile development as well as a preview of Xcode and the Swift programming language. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so welcome to the first video of the Swift series, and today we will be talking about intro to mobile development. So mobile applications versus web applications, what is the difference? So here we have Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And so these are all apps that we use on a daily basis, and if you notice that these have its app form. So for example, if you download it on your phone, you can easily just pull it up as an app. But then if you also go on web and search it up, they also have a web version. So mobile application, that would be an app, while web applications would be software that runs in your browser. So if you see I have it here, mobile applications, they are aka app, and it's computer or software program that runs on a mobile device, while web applications are software that runs in your browser. And so nowadays, and I'm just going to use Spotify as an example, all we have to do is click open the app and then we can search up whatever song we want to listen to, add that to the playlist, play the song. But behind the scenes, the developers create that app using a programming language called Swift. And so Swift is a powerful programming language developed by Apple in 2014 for building apps on iOS, macOS, watchOS, and tvOS. And so this is what the developers use nowadays to design apps and create them and publish them. But this is designed by Apple, and so it was developed by Apple, meaning if you want to publish an app using Apple's iOSs, then you would use Swift. But if you wanted to create an app and publish it on Android's phones, then you would have to use another programming language called Kotlin. And so Swift is very popular nowadays for a multitude of reasons. So firstly, safety. It is great for beginners because of its intuitive features which help prevent bugs. And if you didn't know already, bugs are errors that occur in code. And then second would be performance. It is designed for high performance, allowing it to run faster than low-level programming languages like C. And then thirdly, we have readability. Its clean and expressive syntax makes code easier to read and write. And then lastly, we have interoperability. And so Swift can interact with Objective-C code, allowing developers to integrate it with existing projects. So basically, interoperability, it is the ability of computer systems or software to exchange and make use of information. And so basically, it means that you can take Swift and then you can interact it with another programming language. So basically, it means that you can take Swift and then it can interact with another code, so Objective-C code. And so that makes it a lot easier because, as I stated, it allows developers to integrate it with existing projects. And so this is an example of what Swift would look like. Here we have let number be equal to 10, and then if number is greater than 5, then we would print out the number is greater than 5. Else, we would print out the number is 5 or less. And so if we see here, Swift is very, very easy to read. It's kind of just common sense, and once you read out the code, you kind of get the gist of what it's doing here. But obviously, later on in the series, I will explain the basics of Swift code. So Swift UI, it is a declarative framework introduced by Apple in 2019. A framework is a pre-built collection of code, libraries, and tools that provide a foundation for developing software applications. Swift UI is used for developing user interfaces across all Apple platforms. So what is Replit? Replit is an online AI platform that allows users to write, run, and share code in multiple programming languages directly from a web browser. You can write in many different languages such as Python, C, and Swift in Replit. So basically this is just a site that allows you to write whatever code you want, and then it's also AI based, so it will help you give tips. And so in this case, we can go and try that out. We can go to Google and type in repl.it. And so here I am already signed in, as you see my little account here at the top. But if you do not have an account or are not signed in yet, you can definitely go and create an account. It's really easy. But if we scroll down here, these are my recent repls, right? So repls are basically the kind of like files that created and you used to write code. And so we can create a new REPL. And then see, there are so many different templates, so many different programming languages that you can write in, but we are going to choose Swift. And then you can title it. I'm just going to title it example 1. You can make it private or public. Public, you see it says that anyone can view and fork this REPL. Forking a REPL means that, for example, you can take a REPL that was public, and you can click a fork button, and then basically forking it means it kind of like creates a copy of the REPL, and then you can edit it on by yourself. But in this case, I'm just going to click private because I don't need anyone else to see and edit this REPL. And then we can just click create. Okay, so after creating it, we see on this side, this is the sidebar. And then in the middle where we write all of our code, that would be the code editor. And then right on over here, it is the console. So this is where you would run your code. So for example, we can do print hello world. And then if we hit run, it would print out hello world. So basically this is where you write all of your code, and then this is what would, and then on the console it would print out what you put when you write the code. And then let's talk about Xcode. So Xcode is Apple's integrated development environment, IDE, used for developing software for Mac OS, iOS, watchOS, and tvOS. It includes a suite of tools for building, testing, debugging, and deploying applications with support for multiple programming languages like Swift and Objective-C. So this is the actual app that you would use for coding an app. And so if you don't have it downloaded already, you can go and download that using Apple's App Store. But in this case, I already have it downloaded. If we see down here, this is what it looks like, this little icon. You can click it and it will bring you to this. And so on this side to the right, we have all of my previous projects, and then you can open existing project, which will take you to your folder, and then you can click on whatever existing project you have. Or in this case, we can create a new project. After hitting creating a new project, we're going to keep iOS, and then we are going to create an app. You can also create game if you want, but in this case, I'm just going to select app. And then we can click next. And then product name. So this is what name you are going to give your app. Make sure to make it a little bit descriptive, so in case you create multiple apps, you know which one is which. In this case, I'm just going to put example 1. And then for team, you don't really have to add an account right now. But in later cases, if you want to connect this to GitHub, then you do. But in this case, we're not going to add it right now. And then organization identifier, it doesn't really matter, but I just put my name. And then make sure to select Swift UI. In the language, we are going to use Swift. and you don't have to worry about storage right now. And then you can click next, and then this is where you will store your app, and then you can hit create. Okay, and then now this side, the previous side, will take quite some time to load, so don't worry if yours is still loading. But we can look at what we have right now. On this side, this is the navigator area, and so content view will always be your first view once you open up the Xcode, and then we have a various of buttons that we can click at the top, and this would be if you connect it to GitHub, and this would be the debugging, but we haven't ran anything yet, so nothing will happen right now. And then this would be the editor area, so this is where you're going to put all of your code, and what pops up right here, this is all of just the automatic code that pops up for when you open and create a new Xcode project. And then at the bottom we can click this and drag this up, and this would be the debug area. But to make it easier for when we're coding, we can always just put that down to have more space. And then at the very top right here, this is the toolbar. And so if we see here, example 1, ready, today at 4:20 p.m. Ready means that your project is ready to run. And so in this case, if you hit this little button right here, it will pull up a stimulator and start running. And the stimulator would be kind of like a phone that you can use to kind of get a gist of what your app will look like once you actually publish it in the App Store. And I had this trouble when I first started, but sometimes if you click run and the stimulator isn't working, make sure that you have whatever phone that you want to use selected. So this is the stimulator, right? iOS stimulators. This, I think this was automatic, but you can click whatever you want. So I just put iPhone 15 Pro. Make sure you have that selected, or else the simulator will not work. Okay, and then if we look at the top right here in the toolbar, we have this little icon right here. It is hide or show the inspectors if you hover above it. If we click that, this is the inspector area. And so we can unclick it, and then for example, we can click this text right here, right? So now it shows that we are selecting text, hello world, and then if we click it again, this would be the inspector area. So for example, we can change the font to large title, color we can make it red, weight we can make it semi-bold. And then if you see here, hello world, the text changed. And so this is where you can kind of mess around with whatever you selected. And then right beside that icon, we have a little plus icon. You can click it, and this would be the library. So for example, sometimes you can type out, for example, if you wanted to add a button, right? You could have typed out button. And there are so many different parameters that you can add. And so if you're just getting started, you can always go to the library, click, so this would be the library, click it, and then you can type in whatever you want. I'm just gonna put button, which happens to be popping up first. You can click, hold, and drag it to wherever you want to add it, and then it tells you this is kind of like the automatic format for adding a button, and then you can go from there. And then to wrap things up, this is called the preview. So you don't always have to open and run the simulator, as that will take some time. And so we can always look at our code on the preview right here, but sometimes if you don't want to look at it and if you want to expand the editor, then you can always go to editor and uncheck canvas. And that would get rid of the preview. If you wanted to open that back up, you can always click canvas again and it will load, but it will pop right back up. So that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys learned something about how to use Xcode, and I will see you in the next video.